we can all leave.
When he went down over Indochina, I woke up. He could raise me. Jedi's can't raise Jedi's. We're too close to being gone all the time. See, just because the Tanner's under my 104S and my MiG-21 fish bit, on final approach on all of the Sacred Series, 225 knots, 240 mile an hour, 360 feet a second. So, you want to figure out where you turn final? You take 60 seconds times 360 feet a second, 4 miles, 480 feet. You're 500 feet up, comes down to 6 feet a second, 500 feet a minute. So that's 4 miles, 480 feet, that's wasn't it out. That's your touchdown.
So what are you supposed to help?
Well, help what?
What will help the mess of the situation? We're talking about these crazy things that really have no basis in reality. What do you think would actually help the real situation of downtown and people who need help?
What's that got to do with the final approach speed on the Century Series?
Well, what it has to do is that that's all made up stuff.
No! This is what's happening in Iowa this year. And that's the 9th version of the 103.
But it's not.
No, yeah, it is.
This is...
Yeah, now you turned it fucking over. I give it back.
Yeah, this is nothing, though.
Oh, that's no. Oh, okay. Hand me the fucking paper. You guys better keep fucking walking. His mother is not. 8 Ball ain't getting up. Did you ever see Full Metal Jacket?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know 8 Ball ain't getting up?
I knew that.
And who saved him the second time?
Movie.
Who saved him the second time?
That's just a movie.
Who saved him the second time?
But that's what I'm
Who
wondering.
saved him the second time?
But do you have any
Who
idea?
saved him the second time?
Do you have any idea?
I'm asking you a simple question. Who saved him the second time?
Do you have an idea of what? Who helped? Who saved him?
Raptor Man. And he didn't want it. He couldn't even load a Colt 45 behind a 3-foot beam because he had it hooked up.
But that is just a movie.
Well, you believe there's nothing exists. Is that what you believe?
No, but that was a movie by Oliver Stone. It was just made
yeah,
up.
but the point is, you don't believe that either?
I think that's part of what's causing you to stay in the
No.
situation.
Here, I'll show you what happened.
That's the Bible.
This is 64. That's good to 70 miles here, 35 miles on Mars.
But this is nothing.
No,
This is cut out.
I don't. It's fucking nothing again. Everything's fucking nothing to you.
This is a Girl Scout cookies box. This is a Girl Scout cookies box.
Give me that fucking. Give me that fucking. That's Blade Runner.
Right,
Did you ever see Harrison Ford Blade Runner?
Yes.
I had it in 64. Here's where we come along.
But I'm asking, do you think there's something that could help this kind of
Could
situation?
help what?
The situation you're in. Do you think there's anything?
I'm not in a situation. I'm full active duty. We're at war. I'm going back to Edwards Air Force Base. We're putting cranes in geosinkers orbit and stuff 10 times bigger around the moon. And we're going out with this equipment and liberate 42 galaxies of journey. This is where we come along because he looked at the guy's wife. And we're Revelation 14. We're his personal physical knife. Well, I'll tell you, Revelation, here's what we are. We're bushes are 14, 13 cousins. When Reagan's 8.
Do you like Metallica or you just...
I'm asking. I don't mind Metallica.
Do you know the Disposable Heroes song?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Disposable Heroes is a song by Master Puppets that talks about
Well, if they kill all 144,000, but God takes your ass out. I was approved as king as Ron II, and why are the Andromedans here? Because of the asteroid belt. When you lose your galactic king and queen, you go to where it comes from, and don't go to Princess Leia. That's what we are. There's personal physical rights forever. Because of what he does. King David got the guy set up. The Bushes are 14, 13 times. We raised 8, I'm 6. Lady Diane is my first cousin. After my second cousin Harry, don't you stay out of the tunnel area. And William, my second cousin, married a commoner. This is our first commoner queen. Denmark did it. China did it. We're in the millennium now.
So
when you see the
throne
chair was in Ireland.
Those people who walk right past the people that are laying down.
What's going on? I can't help it. You can't read facts. I can't help it.
You really can't help that. That's a drug situation. But those things come about by people not caring. Eventually that person was not cared about enough to where they end up like that. He has a Bible. He swears by the Bible. He also has a Metallica Master of Puppets shirt. What can you do with them? So it's not enough to just see those people walking past and go, why aren't they helping? Because you might be pulled into that. As soon as I walked up to him, he just started saying that stuff about how he's from the Andromeda Galaxy, all this kind of stuff. So a couple of things we can get out of that, and then this lady who's right up ahead, she walked by just rambling nonsense. A couple of things we can get out of that is this ongoing war on drugs. Plenty of people think, well, the solution is just allow drugs, and then we won't have the drug cartels, etc. That might be true. But that mess right there would be a lot more of that. And so it's not enough to say that if you're on drugs, it's just funny, like you're just hungry or you just get tired. That's not the case. The people, the Jon Stewarts and the people who tell you that drugs, there's nothing wrong with them, it makes life better. No, it turns you into a lunatic like that. At best, you can be a lunatic that's entertaining and then people will fund you, but that's the result. Drugs and people treating you apathetically, you end up like that. Objectively ridiculous. Functionally insane. So it's not enough just to say these people should be getting engaged or this. The problem is that people walking by, they don't know what to do with that. You ask them a question, I asked this guy a question, like, what do you think would actually help this situation? He has no even frame of reference to start talking about that. Instead, he starts asking me about movies from the 80s, referring to them as historical situations from the 1800s. This is downtown San Diego, and this is where a lot of people act. But they cracked at some point. And culture just keeps justifying unjust treatment, ends justify the means. We can sell ridiculous food, and it doesn't nourish your body, but it does sell. People end up completely insane, not being able to hold their thoughts in their head and develop on them. And imagine this is me, relatively sane, talking to someone who's holding a video, so I don't look insane, but the person behind us, she's just carrying on about some thing that happened in the past, and she's reliving it in her head. What else does she have to do? Miserable people like her. Another thing I'll mention is MRAs, for example, men's rights activists, and a lot of even feminists, for example. They say, you know what the problem is? Feminists will say, women don't get enough of the best jobs. Meanwhile, there's this lady. Nobody's caring about her, really. They use her maybe as a talking point of, she's in a tough spot. Men's rights activists would say, they would say, women have it better. Because 90% of the people who are in that situation, functionally insane from being homeless, most of them are men. Well, meanwhile, if you're a woman and you end up in that situation, nobody's going to help that person. They're far sooner going to argue that some incompetent, pretty girl should get a job she's not fit for the sake of dispelling the patriarchy, than to actually help this person in need. So it's a social problem, not a gender problem. And I think that's about enough of that. Simply put, the solution is much more difficult than for example, electing some fake change, saying, oh, Barack Obama's not white, therefore he's going to care about people. He's going to care about these people. No. I guess the last I'll say on it is, Barack Obama is a millionaire lawyer. Remember that? The whole he's a millionaire lawyer, so even as people are meticulously trained, especially by media, to believe that Obama has something in common with him, he's not white, and he tells it like it is, and he's so charismatic. He's a millionaire lawyer. He's been trained heavily how to be liked, how to seem approachable. He doesn't care about this person sitting right here, that crazy, nor about that crazy person around the corner talking about Andromeda galaxies and Blade Runner and all that. The millionaire lawyer doesn't care. And this isn't specific to Obama, but the point is it's not enough to do that 80s movie thing of, well, we elected a black guy, the world's going to change. It's not enough. There actually needs to be sustained interest. And racism, however well-intentioned, of saying, well, he's not white, therefore he's changed, not enough. It's actually not going to solve the problem. And if you were to look around here, don't bother panning and stuff, but most of these people are white simply because the vast majority of people in this country are white. But nevertheless, there's a huge disproportionate number of non-white people that are in this miserable situation. Simply put, that Obama doesn't represent any of these miserable people. He represents the same stuff. The banks, the status quo, the powers that be. Enough about the politics, but simply there's a whole lot of misery here in downtown, and this is amongst these huge, this is a bank, Merrill Lynch Financial Capital, something like that. And so right down here, so you got this up here, and then you got this over here. You got these young kids, and this, yeah, so then you got that over there. But then you got, yeah, go ahead. Then you got these young kids, the young kids over there with mohawks and this and that, like style and clothes, and really believing that they're going to make some kind of change out of things. This sense of if you wear just the right clothes, you'll be cool or you'll be functional, someone will give you a job. When meanwhile, there's all this going to waste. People living in this kind of a situation. This is out in front of the library. Yeah. San Diego Library. There's a couple of problems with this. One is all those people could actually be functional, useful people. The fantasy is that they necessarily don't want to be, not that the system perhaps doesn't work. But even setting aside how useful that they could be, we realize that however miserable they are, you are functionally as miserable if you could walk right past, and assume that they are where they should be, where everything is right with the world. As I mentioned, Charles Ramsey in Ohio, crackhead, worthless guy, he's a hero. He did this heroic act. He just acted right away safe. How many of these people are potential heroes that are just ignored and thought to be in this miserable circumstance because they deserve it or because the system works? So they're in a bad spot, but also in a bad spot are the people who are trained to believe they could just walk right past that, not see it as maybe potential workers for a job they could create, for example. No, instead it's, well, I need to get to my job so I don't end up like that. That's a crocodile pit. You look at that and you go, oh, that's why I show up to the job I hate. That's why I buy clothes that don't matter so that people will take me serious enough to let me work a job that I hate, because otherwise I'll end up over there. That's where all this passive aggression and unhappiness comes from, in no small part, is seeing this and going, well, you know what, I should just play along with the system, walk right by, say, she's got a buddy, she's got a friend, how are you? I see you often here, look at me, I feel like a human because I'm engaging you. I don't judge you. Hold on a second, I'm busy not judging the homeless lady. And then she wanders right by to shit that objectively doesn't matter. So another thing I wanted to mention about this whole situation and how comparable it is to what we hear Jesus did. You know, that crazy guy back there, crazy guy. He had a Bible and he's swearing by it, and this is what's going on. Imagine Jesus here, imagine me as Jesus, here trying to help these people. Well, you can't because you don't have the amazing powers that God has. Imagine somebody coming down and trying to talk sense to that guy. There's nothing you can say. Blessed are the meek, blessed are the derelict, blessed are the functionally insane from drugs, for they shall what? The fantasy that the thing that's going to solve that is believing in a religion. When meanwhile there's nothing that you've seen in the Bible of what Jesus talked about that would be able to deal with insane drug addicts that can't be helped. And yet they somehow, impossibly, amidst their insanity and amidst their misery, they can still speak completely functional Christian dogma. He can still read right out of Revelations and say things are as they ought to be, all this kind of stuff. He has to paraphrase because he's too insane. And yet people will say, you know what the real solution is? Believing in Uncle Jesus and white Jesus. That might be it. Is there anything else? Simply put, these quick fixes, they won't work. You can't engage people who are functionally insane. You could just cut it off from right there. Well, now that they're functionally insane, they are the problem. But again, that crazy guy, he was 5 years old, maybe 40 years ago. So the problem's going to die soon. Unless that's not the problem, that's just a symptom. And ignoring those kind of people is a symptom. The real disease is this apathy of thinking, well, you know what? I'm just going to play along, and I won't get caught in there. Like I mentioned before, this is like a casino where you go in there knowing the house is going to win, the status quo as it is going to win, but maybe if I play my cards right, I'll get a crumb, and I'll be one of the people held up as an example of how the status quo works. Otherwise, you might end up as an example of what happens if you go against the status quo, if you argue against your boss, if you argue you should be able to dress how you want to. None of those things are negotiable. You can see stand-up comedy, etc., talking about, man, don't you hate it how you have to do such and such, and people laugh because they're venting at the fact they know it's not that you have to, it's that if you don't, you'll end up sitting on a street, and the highlight of your day will be the pretty girl with the comfortable clothes, talking on the phone, walking by and go, hi, how are you? Meanwhile, you'll be miserable and have nothing to show for your life except the Metallica shirt and the Bible. This is downtown San Diego. There's a couple of different atmospheres in downtown San Diego, no less than much of the poorest people you'll ever meet, much of the richest people you ever meet. This here is Union Bank. Behind us here is Harold Stephen Brothers, the jewelers, and then we have Golden Eagle Plaza. A whole lot of huge buildings, and this is the situation for some people. And this is the Wells Fargo Plaza. You got Wells Fargo. Across the street, you have Bank of America. Across the street, Bank of America. And this is one of the places where Occupy San Diego was arguing that the 99% need to be taken more serious and more or less carrying on about a whole lot of nothing, when right across the streets there were homeless people, helpless people, some of whom were invited over to partake in all the food and whatnot and the festivities that Occupy San Diego put forward, but a lot of them just sitting over cynically, talking about how they were homeless before this little mini revolution. They're going to be homeless after. These people really don't represent, meaning the Occupy San Diego, they don't really represent real change for the most miserable. A whole lot of cynical homeless people here. So this is the Wells Fargo Plaza, and now I'm going to go over to the Civic Center, where also there was protesting. So this is the San Diego Civic Center Plaza, and if you look around here, go ahead and look around here. This is where all those protesters were going to change the world. Never mind those vagrants in the corner. There's vagrants here at the entrance. That wind passed. Occupy San Diego didn't change the world. Imagine that, a whole bunch of people standing around like a clusterfuck, pretending that they understand politics. They can't agree on anything. It was a mess down here, them pretending they're going to create their own governance and all this.
We can shut this system down. We do all of the work. We clean the hospitals, clean their banks. We are the ones that build everything in the society. We created all of this, and we share in none of the wealth.
that we are under a system right now. You know what I'm saying? Tupac was speaking about it. John F. Kennedy was speaking about it. They were all assassinated, just to keep it real. You know what I'm saying? We gonna focus on the bigger picture. Stop worrying about religion. Stop worrying about Crip Blood, GDN, Vice Lord. Quit worrying about, for real, quit worrying about if you got Gucci on, because yes, that is real Gucci, but I ain't worshiping it. You feel me? I'm worshiping the Lord. And there's only one Lord. You're not talking about there's one heaven and one hell. We gonna go to one place when we die. Which one? Whose side are you on?
I used to choke on the question mark of the revolution. I overdosed on the pain of the human, felt my heartbeat collapse, backspin, contract when Troy Davis exhaled his righteous soul and retracted into the vast blackness of the unknown and catalyzed a scream into the tyrannized masses that echoed and looped the movement of resistance. Beautiful children, we must extend our revolutionary wrist, expose the produce materialist white male supremacist culture. Forced backwater down our broken throats, doped up our passion with dogmatic mind blow to keep us overdosed of consumption. Time to wake up, beautiful children.
Liberty is calling. The time has come. Wake up, America.
So here it is, a big empty area. And so one of the things, I'll grab this. One of the things that happened when I was here reporting on this and all these people were around, we're going to change the world, this, that, and the other. So I was here with the cameraman. We walked to the edge of this road. There were a whole bunch of people chanting on the edge of the road, "Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like." And it had an interesting quality to it that if you've never been to a protest, you would never know what it's like. Because the news will just show that consistent chanting, and they'll even keep that chanting going when they show the other parts of the story, as if the chanting was sustained. They chant for like 30 seconds, and then they give up. And it's not even sustainable, just nothing, and then they give up. Low energy, it's over. So that was one thing that was hilarious and embarrassing. But another thing is all these people down here saying they are the 99%, and we're all together in this, and this, that, and the other. Then you ask any of the people who've been homeless here for years, does this Occupy San Diego movement, is this going to change anything? Does it matter? Of course not. It's nothing. A bunch of half-assed, mostly young, all ignorant people pretending to have unity.
Mass-produced materialist white male supremacist culture.
Talking to a lot of people inside the garbage protest and outside the garbage protest, and I came to this part of the road right here. And here there was parked a car and a very attractive couple walking out to this car. And I'm talking to the camera just as this. And as they get in the car, they wave because oh, it's the news. Hey, how's it going? But anyhow, they wave. They get in their car. As they're driving off, it said, "We are the 99% on the side of the car." And as they're driving off, I notice, oh, it's a Mercedes. A Mercedes 4Runner car. It's fine. It's fine to be rich and everything. But when you say, we are the 99%, we're protesting for everyone to get a better shake. And as soon as they cross, we panned across the street to that same area where right now there are homeless people living. We panned across from the "we are the 99%, oh, we're going to leave now," attractive couple in the Mercedes. And there's the miserable people right there. We went and asked them, "Hey, so what do you think of this?" "Oh, it's nothing. Those kind of things, they come and go. This one's apparently is popular, but we were here when they came. They're going to be here when they're gone. And hey, what do you know? Occupy San Diego is gone, and these people are still around here, not getting help." In fact, if you'll notice over here, there's people hanging out just outside of the Civic Center because there's shade and everything. But one of the big problems that the homeless here were having with the protest, one of the arguments, things that were making them mad, is those dumbass protesters were allowed to sit in that area while they protested, even stay the night for a while until they cracked down on that. The homeless couldn't do that. They get kicked out of there all the time. One of the guys that I interviewed for another news service was named Harry. And he got kicked out of there, and he was just so cynical talking about those people thinking they're going to change the world. Oh, long story. But this is how other people, that stuff over there with the banks and everything, that's how some people experience downtown and the American dream and all this. Other people see it as this, being tucked away somewhere with a life expectancy like the Middle Ages, as people, shinier slaves, stand outside buildings and let in the clientele of the powers that be. This is downtown. This is the mess. And this is the way it is in so many cities, places like Omaha is this way, Chicago certainly this way. You go through Chicago and there's people just trying every step of the way to rob you. Some legally, some not legally, but everyone is just trying to get in your pockets. And this place is more of a dying area where people they don't even have the energy to try and get in your pockets, but there's this overwhelming sense of coasting down and declining. And that's the trend. Some people say, oh, that's just them and the next generation will be better, or things are on the up and up and technology is improving. No, the trend is this downward, seeing all this stuff and being completely fine with it, justifying it, having a whole political theory in your head as to why they are where they should be and things work out, the status quo works. The status quo is imploding to where more and more you can see corrupt police, corrupt government. Now that we have the internet and real unattached journalism, you just see more and more corruption in the status quo of the people who are actually governing, and more you're going to come across people like Charles Ramsey, who is a hero, and meanwhile he's a crackhead with terrible teeth that nobody cares about. And you're going to realize that if the status quo worked, as in a good society, good people would be doing well. There's people like Charles Ramsey doing very poor, and then there's millionaire lawyers like Barack Obama doing very well. If you tell the right lies, you do well in a bad system. People like Bradley Manning, who speak against war crimes. He's in jail being tortured. Some of the depravity around here of this situation and the mess. Consider places like Iraq, where we go in there, Bush lied, and then Obama escalated those lies. And we turned plenty places that were, in Iraq, the big banks, that were the quality. There's the Bank of America back there. Were the quality of the best that we see here, reduced it to the worst that we see here, destroyed so much of the infrastructure. 1 million plus dead, hundreds of thousands maimed and wounded, a whole lot of displacement, and that is. Oh, easy driving through here. And that is the status quo. That is what's normal, is to be for that and consider those people heroes that created that displacement and that destruction of society. It's much easier to destroy than to build. And while we're destroying, simply the point is, while we're destroying all around the world, our government's military, we have this mess right here, and it'd be a lot cheaper to actually raise up these people than it is to destroy other people. And I lost my train of thought because she's back there screaming. And it's interesting to consider that the people who are taking the best of, for example, Iraq or anywhere, and reducing it to the worst, the United States military, well, yeah, but there are heroes and they're doing what's right, this, that, and the other thing. Eventually it comes to your door when you find out these United States service people, as much as you want to say that they're heroes and they're doing good things, it's really hard to make that argument when more soldiers have died from suicide from coming back from the wars, Iraqi freedom, etc., More of our United States soldiers have died from suicide than from actual combat, meaning these people are completely mentally fucked by the situation that they're put into. So of course it's not enough. What? 1 minute. Okay. So of course it's not enough to say, look at these people, they should be cared about. Look at the destruction we're doing around the world. It should matter. I'm telling you, eventually it's going to come to your door in the context of a suicidal, heroic service member or somebody you care about. Oh, we should care. It's too late. The system is set. That's the status quo.